Democracy Day. President Tinubu to grant presidential pardon to Ibori, Farouk, Lawan, others. There are strong yet unconfirmed reports during the rounds in and around the premises of the National Assembly that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu may take the opportunity of the Democracy Day celebration on Thursday, June 12, 2025, to grant presidential pardon to some ex-convicts who are political gladiators. Two names that have been so far mentioned are former Delta State Governor Chief James Ononafe Ibori and a former member of the House of Representatives, Farouk Lawan, Shanano Federal Constituency of Kano State. The conclave reports that the announcement of the grant of presidential pardon may form one of the major highlights of President Tinubu's address to the joint sitting of the National Assembly tomorrow, Thursday. The decision by the President to deploy the platform of the legislature in consummating his Democracy Day speech is not unconnected with the acceptance of the place of the legislature in the tripartite classification of powers and as a constitutional imperative. The legislature, in the trinity of the arms of governmental powers, is the bulwark upon which constitutional democracy rests. Since the legislature's democratic governance takes a flight and uses its place for other forms of government. Another highlight of President Tinubu's speech at the joint sitting, which had already been confirmed, is the conferment of national honors on a select group of federal lawmakers. The commemorative event, special joint sitting, is scheduled to be held in the more expansive House of Representatives chamber. Proceedings will commence at 11 a.m., while President Tinubu is expected to arrive at 12 noon to deliver a presidential address as a special guest of honor. Chairman of the House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Honorable Akin Rotimi, had confirmed the development in a statement last Thursday. The conclave further reports that the announcement of the presidential pardon for politicians who are ex-convicts may either feature in the president's speech at the joint sitting or his speech to Nigerians via nationwide broadcast. There is also a possibility that it may be communicated in a statement by the presidency. The conclave reports that Ibori is a leader in the Niger Delta region. In addition to being a national figure in Nigeria, this news medium recalls that in 2012, Ibori was sentenced to 13 years in prison for money laundering in the United Kingdom. He was released from prison in December 2016 after a court order. He served 4 years of the 13 of which he was sentenced. Imagine. Afterwards, Ibori was deported to Nigeria, where he continued to retain political influence. Ex-convicts, they retain political influence. In 2021, a British court ordered him to pay approximately £100 million, which was to be returned to the Nigerian government. Ibori has been very supportive of the Tinubu government, but the conclave could not confirm at what point Ibori consolidated his support for Tinubu at the expense of his friends, Atiku Abubakar, from whom he stuck his neck out in 2003. Ibori had led a gang of 22 PDP governors who lined behind Atiku in a threatened bid to upstage Olusegun Obasanjo's presidential re-election bid at the presidential primary election of the PDP, and for which he was consequently punished and dragged through courts in 2003 for being an ex-convict and therefore not qualified to have contested election to become a governor of Delta State. His lawyer, Chief Rotimi Williams, son of blessed memory, had argued before the Supreme Court that Ibori was not the same James Ononafe Ibori who was convicted by the Ibori court in 1995. Now really convicts, US convicts abroad, US convicts in Bari court in 1995, and they want to grant him pardon. Not be smart. He will still do another thing. Ibori and Tinubu were members of the state governors class of 1999 to 2007. Members of state governor class. Ibori, as reported, was one of the first set of influential Nigerians who visited Tinubu in Abuja after being sworn in as president. He was also the link man who facilitated the arrangements that saw the governor of Delta State, Sheriff Ibori, his deputy and former governors and vice presidential candidate of the PDP, Ifeanyi Okowa, to join the APC. And no wonder, they will grant him pardon now. On his part, Honorable Farouk Lawan was a very prominent lawmaker back then from Kano State. He represented Shanono Federal Constituency for 3 terms in the National Assembly. He was a leader of the integrity group who failed the integrity test for corruption by accepting $500,000 bribe from business mogul Mr. Femi Otedola during the House of Representatives Committee investigation into fuel subsidy scandal in 2012. He was found guilty and sentenced to jail for 7 years on June 22, 2021. So he has spent how many years? 2, 3, 4, 5, just 4 years. He completed his jail term on October 22, 2024 and is now active in the current political dispensation. How can 7 years be ended in 2024 from 2021? No be small thing. Only recently, he was cited at the former decampment of Delta State Governor, former governor of the state and vice presidential candidate for the PDP and other strong political beliefs of the party. In addition, Farouk was on the team of members from Kano State who graced the decampment of some NNPP members of the House of Representatives from Kano State. A presidential pardon for Ibori, Lawan and others who bear the tag of ex-convicts will be salutary towards removing a significant constitutional encumbrance to their full participation in politics and governance. No be small thing. He wants to be pardoning ex-convicts. Akinola Augustine says, Kanu is among, but I don't want to announce his name. At last today he will gain his freedom. I really hope and pray that Kanu is really among. It is good though. Please, they need to release that man. If only that man is released, then he has tried today. Charles Iyo has said, presidential pardon or whatever you call it does not change anything. Once an ex-convict, he remains an ex-convict. Yes, sir. Akinola says, Kanu and your Bello told you which person is a terrorist, and you are calling one Nigeria. Nigeria is 3 Nigeria, not 1. According to some of you people's comments, Nigeria is 3 Nigeria. I don't understand you, Akinola. It is well. Well, say for foreign politicians, really? Please go ahead. One name Peter, one name Paul. No be smart. Amon says, morally speaking, do these men deserve a presidential pardon? Where is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Somebody said he's there, that they just did not mention his name. I really hope that he releases Nnamdi Kanu today. No. In fact, if he does that, a lot of people will clap for him today. Alani Yalaba says, what of Mazi Kanu? I'm very disappointed in Kanu. Should have been the first person to be granted freedom. I'm really disappointed. Kanu should have been the first person to be granted freedom. Well, let's not rush. Let's wait and see what's going to happen. It's almost 7 o'clock, have we? It is almost morning, so let's wait. And this is over to you. Leave your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Bye.